We are now going to see how to create a collaborative RFQ in the RFQ tab, that is to say an RFQ sent to the suppliers from your address book. In your drop-down menu, go into Creation, then Collaborative RFQ. We're going to see the 4 steps. The first one is the cover of your file. First of all, we're going to put the subject of the RFQ. You see the red dot indicating mandatory fields to fill in. The second mandatory field is the reply deadline, for instance June 1st. Then we click on the next button. Now we're going to choose the template from our template library for the items in the RFQ. And we click on the next button. Our next step is to fill in the blue fields, which are mandatory to fill in by the buyer. The red dot indicates the fields that are mandatory to fill in by the supplier. First of all, we put the reference number for our item. Then we give the part name and the quantity we want to request a price for. The Incoterms are preset, and we add our delivery place. We now have the option to add another item to our RFQ and to add the technical files from our computer for this specific item. We add the file, and we can also add a link to an FTP, for instance. We click on the next button. We now have the possibility to put general files, contractual files, purchasing condition, for instance. We can see some of them are put by default, and we can keep them in the RFQ. Or we have the option to add another file. We're now going to look at the security for the item attachments. If we click on that option, all suppliers from our RFQ distribution list will be able to download the files. First security level, they need to click to see they've accepted the condition before they download the file. The second level of security indicates that you manually approve the suppliers so they can see the files. We can also see that we have the position of leaving the suppliers who are in the qualified list to download the file by clicking this option. Then we see the address mode option. The first one is suppliers that they have to quote on all items to submit a quote. Second option, for the negotiation process, they can quote again even after the reply deadline. We then have the possibility to allow supplier to see the ranking if they have to quote again. And we can also decide for which item each suppliers will be quoting. Then we click on the next button. We now see our address books shared with the company. We can display them or not. We can also decide the supplier's address book shared with the group. Now we click on the address book we want to receive the RFQ and on the next button. We now see the summary of the RFQ with all the detail that we filled in, and we can add, if we want, a target price or a current value. If we add a target price, we put the field for the target price, and we decide if we want to show it to suppliers or not, and we click on the Save button. Once we've done that, our RFQ is completed, and we can now click on the Send RFQ button and go into our RFQ tab into Active RFQs, and we see our just created RFQs on top of our list.